was the last time that you noticed God showing up in your day? I closed my eyes and I expected to draw a blank because I was not consciously aware of any such time. But as I closed my eyes in prayer and talked to God, the Holy Spirit opened the eyes of my heart to a moment that happened just hours before that Zoom call. I was sitting in my office. I received a text message from my former boss at Loma Linda Academy, the elementary principal. The text said, "I have some bad news to share. Can you call me?" I called him immediately, and then he solemnly shared with me that one of our students that I had worked with for years, a sixth grader, and her mother were tragically killed in a car accident. I was shocked. I could vividly bring back the picture of this girl and her mom because I'd worked with them on many occasions in my time at Loma Linda Academy. I talked to him for a few minutes, we processed together, and then I hung up the phone and I moved on with my day. I just kept going with whatever task I was doing right before he had called. But then in that moment, as I sat with Todd in that Zoom call, the moment replayed in my mind. And as it replayed, I realized that I was not alone in the room when I received that call. The Holy Spirit had been there with me, but I had missed him because I had just too quickly moved on with my day. And in that moment, I told Todd, I think the Holy Spirit was trying to connect with me right there, but I didn't hear him, I didn't see him, I looked past him, and then Todd said, well, why don't you spend some time talking to God right now and asking him, how did he want to connect with you in that moment? So, Todd, he's like a saint, he waited there on the other side of the Zoom screen and just waited patiently while I put my head down and began weeping for I don't know how long. They were tears of grief for a life that was lost way too soon, grief for a husband that was going to be a single dad now, and a little boy who would have to go through life without a mother and a big sister. But in that moment, there was also love and comfort and a keen awareness that God had come alongside me. I look back at that moment with the Holy Spirit as a turning point in my walk with him, because God was trying to teach me that he's always with me throughout my every moment of my day. But so often, I miss him because I'm not training my eyes of my heart to see and notice him. I'm not making space in my very busy schedule to know him. God was teaching me, and he didn't leave me in that moment. He was teaching me, just like John 14 verse 17 says, that I need to see him and to know him. God continues to work with me each day. And Todd spoke to me in that moment, and he encouraged me to ask God a question, a simple question, every night before I get ready for bed. The question is, God, when were you trying to connect with me today? When were you trying to connect with me today? I replay through my mind all the things that happened that day and ask him to show me, where did I miss him? Through this practice, I've been shocked by how many moments I probably missed with Jesus, but even more powerful, I've started to notice a change during my daily life. This reflective practice of prayer is exactly that, just one practice. It's not a silver bullet, it's not a formula, it's just a simple practice of prayer to sharpen my attention to God's presence in my daily life. The eyes of my heart became more open to seeing him throughout the day, when I'm playing with my kids, when I'm driving in my car, when I'm leading a Bible study, or when I'm chatting with a friend. But I still have a long way to go, and God is still teaching me not only to recognize him in my day, but then to stop, to linger, to abide with him. Just this week, the Holy Spirit had to gently, once again, call me out again to show me how he wants to live with me and in me. It happened on Tuesday night. I have been preparing for this sermon for the last month, the whole month of December, but I finally sat down on Tuesday night, put the kids to bed early, and I sat there on the couch with my laptop, typing out my manuscript. I was just getting into the flow, feeling everything just flowing out, when all of a sudden, I heard the familiar, little but loud footsteps clomping above me. My daughter, I knew, the 3-year-old Ellie, had just woken up, and she was in quite the mood. There was lots of screaming, tears, stomping of feet, And I just gladly ignored it because I thought, Lindsay will take care of it. But then the Holy Spirit came inside and said, come alongside Ellie. So reluctantly, I texted Lindsay, who was already trying to calm her down, do you think Ellie wants me to be there? And of course, she said, yes. So I walked up the stairs, I went into the dark room, I lay down by her side. I snuggled with her, I talked to her, I held her little fingers in my hand. And then I realized that we weren't alone in that room. Because I had been wanting God to tell me what to preach about. I had seen this as an interruption in my sermon planning. But it actually turned out to be a profound interaction. I realized that we weren't alone and that God was actually not wanting to tell me, but to show me what I needed to preach about. As I lay there, I realized the Holy Spirit was there and my heart was filled with love for Ellie. As I looked at her face, which waffled between peacefulness and crankiness, I realized what a gift it is that I have children who want me to be with them, that they actually value my presence. And then the Holy Spirit told me that in the same way, He loves to be with me. The Father had called him to come alongside me, to be with me, parakletos. And as I watched Ellie for the long 45 minutes that it took for her to fall asleep again, I was reminded about how I could live life with God by watching the actions of my 3-year-old. First, she had called me, right? Just like Luke 11:13 says, even a tired, distracted, evil father like me, when she called, I responded with my presence. And she wasn't just okay with calling me. She wasn't just okay with seeing me walk into the room, but she wanted me to stay there, to linger with her, to abide with her. She kept peeking through her sleepy eyes to make sure I was still there. She would turn this way and then turn back and reach out her arm to make sure that I was still sleeping next to her. Through her actions, she perfectly modeled what it means to see and to know that what's found in John 14:17. Even in her half-asleep state, her eyes and her hands were so trained to keep looking for me, to keep reaching for me, that so she could enjoy me being with her. And it made me realize how much more God has to train my heart to be able to see Him, to reach for Him, to recognize and to receive His Spirit. It should be so natural, so reflexive that throughout my day, I'm just constantly reaching out to make sure that His presence is there. So this question that Todd encouraged me, God, when were you trying to connect with me today? It's been a powerful training for my heart. But in that quiet moment in the dark, I thought of another question that I want to start incorporating in my morning routine with God. Something that I want to incorporate, and I just started this week. The question is, God, where do you want to meet with me today? A question that I can ask every single morning as I spend time with Him. As I look at my schedule, all the tasks that I need to accomplish, ask God, where do you want to meet me in all of this today? It's a practice that's sharpening my vision even further to see God's presence in my day. I used to ask God this question, what do you want me to do for you? But now that I realize I have a good Father, I'm realizing that He'd much rather do life with me than to have me do things for Him.